Every few years, this debate seems to flare up again. Some people say the science is settled. Others say global warming is exaggerated, misunderstood, or even completely false. So what is actually happening to our planet? Is global warming real? Or is it just a misunderstanding of natural climate changes that have always happened on Earth? To answer that, we need to look at the evidence scientists use to measure the planet's temperature and the surprising patterns those measurements reveal. Welcome to tonight's episode of Hale Explains, answering curious questions every week. The first question is simple. Has the Earth's temperature really increased? Scientists measure global temperatures using thousands of weather stations, ocean buoys, and satellites. When all that data is combined, a clear pattern appears. Since the late 1800s, the Earth's average surface temperature has increased by about 1 degree C. Most of that warming has happened in the past few decades. Think of it like checking your body temperature. If your temperature rises by 1 degree, you may not feel dramatically different at first, but doctors still consider it a fever because even small changes in temperature can signal something important happening inside the body. In the same way, a 1 degree increase in the Earth's average temperature is actually a very large shift for an entire planet. One common question is whether the warming might just be a measurement error. After all, temperature records go back more than a century, but scientists don't rely on just one measurement method. They use multiple independent systems: weather stations on land, instruments floating in the oceans, and satellites orbiting Earth. When all these independent measurements are compared, they show the same trend. The planet has been warming. In fact, the 10 warmest years ever recorded have all occurred in the last decade. When multiple independent systems show the same pattern, scientists become much more confident the change is real. So, could this just be natural climate change? Earth's climate has always changed. Ice ages have come and gone over millions of years. So why do scientists think today's warming is different? The answer lies in carbon dioxide, a gas that traps heat in the atmosphere. Think of it like adding extra insulation to a house. A small amount of insulation helps keep the house comfortable, but if you keep adding more and more insulation, heat starts getting trapped inside. Where is all the carbon dioxide coming from? The largest source is the burning of fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and natural gas. When we burn them for electricity, transport, and industry, that stored carbon is released back into the atmosphere as carbon dioxide. Think of it like opening a bottle of fizzy drink. For millions of years, the carbon was sealed underground. Burning fossil fuels is like suddenly releasing that gas back into the air. Human activities currently release around 37 billion tons of carbon dioxide every year. Cars, airplanes, factories, and power plants all contribute to this increase. Deforestation also plays a role. Trees normally absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, acting like natural carbon storage. When forests are cut down or burned, not only do we lose that storage system, but the carbon stored in the trees is released back into the atmosphere as well. Over time, this extra carbon dioxide builds up in the atmosphere, strengthening the greenhouse effect and trapping more heat around the planet. One surprising contributor comes from an animal you might not expect: cows. When cows digest grass, the bacteria in their stomachs produce a gas called methane. The methane mostly leaves the cow's body through burping rather than the other end. Methane is in some ways more powerful than carbon dioxide. Over a period of about 20 years, methane can trap around 80 times more heat than carbon dioxide. Think of it like this. Carbon dioxide is like a thin blanket around the Earth. Methane is like a much thicker blanket. Even small amounts can trap a lot of heat. With roughly 1.5 billion cattle on Earth, the methane produced by livestock adds up. Scientists estimate that livestock farming is responsible for about 14–15% of global greenhouse gas emissions, which is why some people feel that if more people turn to veganism, it would slow global warming significantly. That doesn't mean cows are the biggest contributor to climate change. Burning fossil fuels for energy and transport still produces far more emissions overall. But it does show how many different parts of modern life, even agriculture, can influence the planet's climate. What do scientists actually agree on? Science rarely produces absolute agreement. But on the question of global warming, there is a surprisingly strong consensus. Studies looking at thousands of scientific papers have found that around 97% or more of climate scientists agree that the Earth is warming and that human activity is a major cause. Think of it like asking thousands of doctors whether smoking causes lung disease. If nearly all of them reach the same conclusion after decades of research, it becomes difficult to dismiss that agreement. That doesn't mean every detail is fully understood, but it does mean the overall direction of the science is clear. One of the biggest questions around global warming is what could happen next. Scientists also study what future warming might mean. According to international climate reports, even small increases in global temperature can lead to more extreme heat waves, rising sea levels, and changes to rainfall patterns. This is because Earth's climate system is complex and interconnected. Think of the climate like a giant machine made of oceans, atmosphere, forests, and ice. When one part of the system changes, it can influence many others. If global temperatures continue rising, scientists expect several major changes to Earth's systems. One of the most visible is the melting of polar ice caps and glaciers. Ice sheets in Greenland and Antarctica contain enormous amounts of frozen water. When these ice masses melt, the water flows into the oceans, gradually raising sea levels. Since 1900, global sea levels have already risen by about 20 to 25 centimeters. That may not sound dramatic, but even small increases can have major consequences for coastal areas. Think of it like filling a bathtub that already has water right up to the edge. Even a small extra amount can cause it to spill over. Rising seas could threaten many low-lying cities and island nations. Some countries in the Pacific, such as Tuvalu and the Maldives, are only a few meters above sea level and could face severe flooding if sea levels rise significantly. Melting ice also affects wildlife and ecosystems. Polar bears depend on sea ice to hunt, while changes in ocean temperatures can disrupt marine food chains. Scientists also warn that warming oceans can lead to stronger storms, more intense heat waves, and changes in rainfall patterns. None of these changes happen overnight, but they illustrate why scientists study the climate system so closely. Because when the temperature of an entire planet begins to change, even small shifts can reshape the world over time. So, is global warming real? The evidence from temperature measurements, atmospheric data, and decades of research strongly suggests that the planet is indeed warming. The bigger debate today is not whether warming is happening, it is how fast it will continue, and how humanity will respond. Because the climate system that supports life on Earth is incredibly delicate, and even small changes to a planet's temperature can reshape the world in ways we are only beginning to understand. This has been Hale Explains, examining the world, one question at a time. Don't forget to like and subscribe for answers to more curious questions.